Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of Friends for Unity. Mr. Reed Coverdale, how are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm actually having a great day. It was a really relaxing weekend. Took a good chunk of time off yesterday. I went gambling with my parents today for a little while, so that was fun. Um, it's been chill. Uh, did you do any actual? Did you have a weekend this weekend?
Yes, but I had to find a place to move, so I was kind of busy.
Mm,
Um, so I didn't really have much time off. I also had to get up. I woke up at 5 on Saturday so that I could record an episode at 6 in the morning. Because that's what happens when you're trying to schedule something with people on the East Coast and with people in Japan at the same time and
right.
get something to work. So, uh, I drew the short stick on the time zone in that one, but
Mhm.
it all worked out. But yeah, it was a decent weekend. So
You should have made Ryan get up super early. Should have been 8 a.m. his time.
well, then it would have been like 9 p.m. my time. So
Yeah,
no matter how it works, it sucks. So
yeah. Uh, that was a super based episode, though. like,
yeah,
by far one of the best pieces of content you've ever put out.
for sure, it was great. I've watched it twice since I listened to it today again, and I watched
Nice.
it I think yesterday because it's hilarious. I pick something up new in it each time I listen to it. So, but
Yeah, I'm excited. Wow, that sounds like a whack job. I'm excited to talk to Eric tonight. I actually haven't gotten to have a nice dialogue with him in a little while.
yeah, when's the last time
Is
you?
this called a trialogue? Is that a word?
It sounds like a word now. So
We're going to have a nice trialogue tonight with Eric
yes,
Jackman and Reed Coverdale. And I just realized our names aren't up there. Boom. In case
oh,
y'all
there you
didn't
go.
know who we are, we're David Fight and Reed Coverdale of the Fight for Liberty show and the Naturalist Capitalist here on Friends for Unity, because this is a great place to be. Live on Free Speech Media.
When did you change the name of the show?
Well, so it's not official yet. I want to do a Twitter poll. It's kind of what Station and I were talking about it a little bit, and we kind of came to the consensus that maybe that's the way to go to figure it out. Because I said this a little bit last week. I think I felt like a jackass having a show that's co-hosted by other people that are putting in work, and that's named after me. Like you were, when it originally started, it was going to be kind of like a hodgepodge of you and Stacia and Jeremy and maybe Zach and kind of just a mix. But it ended up being you almost every single week and Stacia more often than not. And so I was like this. I don't know. I kind of felt like a dick having it be a show named after me, and I wanted it to be a little bit more of an our show than a my show kind of a situation, because y'all have a lot of things going on in your lives that is really interesting. That's why I picked you guys. You've got the Naturalist Capitalist, where you're meeting really cool people and talking to about really interesting shit and doing a lot of research. And then with Second Look, Stacia's just constantly learning new shit. And so and then I'm doing what I'm doing, and so the three of us together, we're gonna have an awesome summer individually, and then we get to talk about it once a week,
Yeah,
and y'all get to watch if you so choose, and maybe even like the video or share it or subscribe to the channel, because those would all be great things for you guys to do, or don't. Honestly, part of me this show is a little bit for me and the friend group, in my opinion. I'm very much looking forward to watching some of these episodes in 4 years and just being oh my god, what were we, why?
yeah. It's like a bunch of journal entries almost.
Yeah,
They-
right.
So my friend Mike and I just shot episode 101 yesterday because he actually did episode 1 with me.
That's
So
great. That's great that you had him back for 101. That's I like that cuteness.
And we actually watched episode 1 because he's a, I don't know if you saw it, but he was in Salt Lake City this weekend, so it worked out perfectly. So we shot it in person. But
Nice.
We watched episode 1, and it wasn't cringy. Like, I was wondering, like, I wonder what I'm gonna think of this watching it. And we watched it. I was like, yeah. I mean, that's still kind of how I feel about things. So, I mean, there's obviously been some things that have changed a little bit, but you know, I think you and I have been. I don't know. We've kind of had our principles that we've stuck to for a little bit now, you know. So a lot of people you and I know came into 2020 just getting into politics. They'd never paid attention before. So it's been like a wild ride. They were bouncing off the walls, trying to figure out what they actually thought about things. You know, I wasn't really there. I've had this journey with anarchism a little bit, but libertarianism has kind of been a thing for me for a while now, so it wasn't a brand new concept, and I haven't been quite as directionless as a lot of people have. So,
yeah, I'm really enjoying getting to talk to new people to the whole idea. I was thinking about this a little bit earlier. I was talking to my dad because he's a deacon at his church, and they're going through the process of finding a new pastor right now.
Yep.
And so, like, obviously we've talked on the show plenty about how we both feel about religion now. But I'm at a place, and I feel like you're somewhat similar, that, like, if you're doing good shit in the name of Christianity, like, you're cool with me, right? I feel we're kind of in a similar boat there. So
if you're doing good shit, you're good with me. So, like,
right. Well, yeah, I'm just saying, like, if that's what you're doing in the name of Christianity, that's like, we're fine. So, like, I actually, or at least, especially if you're not doing bad shit in the name of Christianity. So, like, I'm a little bit chiller with my sister because she doesn't really do much at all. Like, she's a bad Christian. So, so I'm kind of like, I don't mind. But, like, my dad being a deacon and having this, like, at least a little bit of authority over people, and, like, the ability to change people's minds a little bit and to minister to people in a way to where they might become a more positive church body that's actually, like, doing something in their community, and he's not really doing it, and it really bothers me. But I was thinking about it because growing up, evangelism was always, like, something that I did not like at all. I didn't really like the concept. I didn't like how it made me feel. I was just not into that, like, trying to change people's minds thing. Like, I was into the idea of it, but I was not good at, like, initiating those conversations. But then with politics, it's completely different. Like, I'm so fine with that. And I love having these conversations, and we've gotten to meet, like, so many people, especially this year. I mean, even Stacia, like, when I met her, was, you know, didn't know, like, she knew about the LP, and she was already a libertarian, really. She just didn't quite know it yet, and getting to watch her mind change is, like, something that I would never really been able to experience. Or I feel like it's it must be what Christians feel when they, like, save someone, right? It's got to be like that same feeling. So I can kind of understand why they're so obnoxious, but I feel like what we're pitching is much better.
Yeah, I think it's easier to evangelize politically than spiritually, because politically we're only talking about action, like what you do. Like, we don't care what you think. We don't care, you know, what your personal beliefs are, or, like, what your personal thoughts are. We're telling you, look, this is what you have to do to coexist in a society. Like, don't kill people, don't steal from people, don't damage people's property, don't advocate for aggression against them. Just, like, get along, you know, live and let live. So, I mean, that's a lot easier to knock on someone's door and tell them about than it is to be like, hey, guess what? You're going to hell, so you need to, like, believe these things. You know,
right.
A different conversation. So,
so I had a kind of an interesting day yesterday. I went on a mild acid trip, day tripping for the first time, so that was fun. But towards the middle of it, I went and saw the new Disney movie, Raya and the Last Dragon. Um, it's an animated Disney movie by the same people that did Moana and Frozen. And I didn't have super high hopes. It looks pretty funny in the trailer. My friend offered to buy me a ticket and had a weed pen. So we were like, the plan was to just go and get super stoned and watch a Disney movie. I was like, all right, sounds like a fun way to spend a Sunday. But it was actually super great. Like culture, like I really liked the message of the movie because it was what we've been talking about for 4 months. It's like, all right, guys, we can either blow each other up and murder each other and like just tear the world to shit until we're all dead, or we can just knock the fuck off and live life.
Yeah.
And it really it sold that message so well. I was sitting there watching it, just like, also, still on a mild trip, so big brain thinking on top of it. I'm just sitting there like, oh my god, like Disney made a thing that didn't suck.
Yeah.
What is this? So yeah, I'm weirdly a fan. Oh man, we got all the dope people up in the comments. We got Jesse Welch watching and Olivia Rondow. So we got like, and Ronwell. We got like all the dope people all up in the comments.
We got everybody.
The whole gang's here.
Olivia hasn't approved of my last few conversations. She always comes in and says like, "Wow, you guys have a high level of conversation going on here." And she has kind of dropped in at the worst moment usually.
She does though. Like the other, what were you guys talking about?
It was me and Joe Evans and Super Straight. That's what we were talking about. That's when she showed up. But oh well.
Right. I showed up maybe 5 minutes before her in that conversation. And I was also like, I came in and then it went to shit, but quickly. And I was like, wow. But Olivia is apologetic for her critiques. So it's okay, Olivia. We still love you. We have to get you on this show.
She watched episode 80, so
Yeah, right. She's seen the worst, of us both.
So,
and then she had me on her show, so she got to see a little bit more of it. Oh my gosh! But it is fun to have like, honestly, like shoe on head or whatever. Talks a lot about her like uncancelability, right? And how she's just like so outrageous that she can't get canceled. I kind of feel like I might want to go that route, and I feel like we both already kind of did. We kind of
see. I was never. I don't really think you were either, but I was never in that lane of being worried about being canceled. I just had people who hadn't canceled me yet who still liked me. And then I think they found out more about me, and then they started canceling me. You know what I mean? Like there were some people who were just like, they didn't know me, and then they see me come along, and they're like, "Oh, this guy seems okay." And then they hung around me long enough, and they were like, "Oh no, can't associate with this guy. He's like."
So I actually spent the majority of my life in constant fear of being canceled, because I've wanted to run for president since I was probably about 12 or 13, somewhere in there, or at least like I've wanted to be high up in the public eye since around there. So whether that was like just whether I was going to be like Tony Stark sort of thing, like obviously not superhero. I wasn't actually that childish, but like just like the eccentric millionaire that everyone loves, or like the president or something. Like my plan was to do that sort of thing. So I lived my entire life in constant fear of, is something gonna fuck up my reputation permanently? Like when I first had trouble with the law, even just the first couple basic tickets, like running a stop sign and a speeding ticket, I was like, oh my God, my perfect record's fucked. Like I've been arrested. I can't get elected president now. And so, yeah, that was like actually a huge thing probably until like a year ago, until I ran for office, really. And then I was just like, well, okay, that happened. That didn't go as badly as I thought it might. So and then Trump also kind of helped because that was kind of like a clearly anyone can get elected president. So
yeah, so I guess I've had in one way I've been similar to that. Like I can't get in trouble with my driver's license because obviously my job is sort of dependent on it. So like if I got caught drinking and driving or something, I'd be fucked. So that type of thing I do have to be careful with. But as far as like my online reputation goes, what I say, like I've never cared about that. I mean, you can I haven't had as big an audience as I do now in the past, but my Facebook profile is an open book of cancelability. It has been for a long time. So
right, and then this show exists.
That's true,
and your show exists.
So we made like World War II movies in high school. You know about this,
yeah.
And German uniforms, American uniforms. So that I was a reenactor, World War II reenactor. I was on the History Channel as a German soldier and an American soldier. So like, that type of stuff is kind of frowned upon by some people. I don't think that it's really fair because it's, and I've told you why I quit doing it, because there were some weirdos, some German reenactors that were weird. And I was like, okay, this isn't about history. This is, you guys are in this for something else. But I don't know. So there's tons of stuff people could choose to cancel me for if they so desired, and don't care. So
I think
still up on Facebook. So
I think being like super honest about it, the way that you have been, is super helpful to any person's like credibility or reputation, because if anyone tried to cancel you for that, really, the only way that you can get canceled is if someone changes the public's opinion of you.
Right.
So if everyone's opinion of you is this super great, lovable, respectable dude that used to dress up like a Nazi in high school,
I don't really like the way you're framing that.
I'm just saying, but like if that's already in people's heads, then no one can really cancel you with that. Same with really anything else about you.
Yeah.
A lot of people loved Kevin Hart that didn't know about that joke about like beating his son up if he was gay. Like that was a thing a lot of people didn't know about. So when that came out, even though it was super old and a dumb, in my opinion, dumb reason to cancel people, like it was able to like switch people's mindsets quickly with one fact. They can't do that with us.
Right. Like I say, I call things fucking retarded all the time still. Like I say it on Twitter, and I actually had someone get upset at me the other day, but I don't know, like that's how I talk, and I'm not going to pretend I don't. So I don't know, like there's stuff like that I don't know. There are the people who are going to cancel me I don't really care about.
So there are a couple of things in my vocabulary that I have changed, especially like depending on who I'm talking to. The one biggest one is I say y'all instead of guys. That's something that like the leftist woke mob switched me on. And honestly, it's so simple that I don't fucking care, right? Like I've gotten dirty looks and gotten yelled at and stuff for saying, hey guys, too many times. It's just easier to just go about life saying y'all. And especially because there's just too many people that think that way. And honestly, like I do kind of get it. It's like, addressing a mixed gendered group of people as just one gender is like, it's dumb, but I somewhat get it. And so I'm like, I'm willing to say y'all because it's more fun anyway. Right. The idea of a bunch of people in Brooklyn saying y'all now is just so funny to me that I'm totally cool with participating in that trend.
So the reason that I just don't care at all is because I speak Spanish, for one, and Spanish is feminine and masculine words, and when it's an unknown, you always use the masculine when you're referencing to a group or whatever. And English is actually technically the same way. We've just changed it in the last few years. But if it was an unknown, you'd always assume masculine. So you'd say, I mean, proper English is everyone grab his coat. Like instead of everyone grab their coats, let's go. You're supposed to say everyone grab his coat, or that's just how it technically works. I don't know.
But I can somewhat understand the argument that, like, I'm gonna play devil's advocate real quick and be like, that's evidence of the quote unquote patriarchy or whatever. You know, the fact that we just assume male in every situation is arguably a little bit messed up. Like, I can see why people who care a lot about gender equality would care about those phrasings and being more inclusive. And honestly, the they thing is one of my favorite things in the world, because when I was in school, I argued with like every English teacher I ever had about this, because whenever it was an unknown for me, I would use they. Mm-hmm. And that's not right, like you just said. And I was like, no, this just makes more sense. It makes more sense this way. It should be like this. It should just be they, because we shouldn't just assume masculine. What if it's not masculine? Like, I had this argument with like 4 or 5 different English teachers in school, and then I turned out to be fucking right. Society told me I was right, and I'm proud of that one.
Yeah, so
as dumb as it is.
It's something that I just literally don't care about at all. So, I mean, I'm not going to fight to save the assumed masculine or something, but I am not going to cater to people either, because I just don't care. Like, I mean, if it's something like someone asking me to use pronouns to reference them, sure. Like, if I know them and they ask me, okay, fine. Like, that's respect. But I mean, just in general, using the English language, I just don't care. And I mean, so it's just, yeah. Mm-hmm. If that makes sense.
Countries are female, though. This is a fact.
True. See, that's sexist. We got to change that.
The matriarchy at work.
Neutral. I'm going to demand that countries are neutral from now on. Mm-hmm. Same with ships. Ships are women. You know, they're feminine. So are flags, right? Flags. Don't you say it? Well, maybe not. What are ships? Countries. Trying to think what else.
I'm trying to think of a popular use of. Oh wow, Jesse was in there with it before you got there. I just didn't see it. Ships are also female. I'm trying to think about flags. I don't know. That sounds like a thing that should be right, but I don't know.
I don't think it is. I think that's wrong.
Storms are both, right? They'll go back and forth on the genders.
They used to be feminine, but now they're both.
Interesting.
I believe. I think that was a negative to have them all feminine, because, you know.
Well, I mean, it's Mother Nature, right?
Ooh, that's true. Father Time, though.
Yeah.
So,
honestly, like, that's honestly like a good gender divide, though, because it's pretty accurate, right? It's like the mother is the one that's like making sure that everything's all right, and like sometimes she's pissy and sometimes she's really chill and awesome, and like she's the one that keeps everyone alive, and the father is the one that keeps everyone moving.
Oh boy, you're canceled. You just assigned.
Yep.
Yeah. There's a reason I don't talk about any of this shit ever on my show, because I really just like don't care, and it's not worth the backlash you get over it. So I just I stay away from it completely.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe we should move on. Yeah, let's we just try too hard to get canceled, really, on this show. Yeah. We're almost as bad as Bill Barger with don't quote me on this. Not quite. Yep. Okay. Moving on from all
Canceling
topics.
yourself.
Canceling myself. So today is actually Bicycle Day, which is the anniversary of the first known time of someone ingesting LSD. This is like a psychonaut holiday today.
Wow.
Fun fact. Um, I found that out today. Otherwise, I wouldn't have taken acid yesterday, probably. Um, or if I had known it was coming up, I would.
While driving. No, I'm just kidding.
That actually is a very fun time. Maybe not in the driver's seat, but in the passenger seat, it's a great time, especially like at night with the street lights just like. It's great. It's good. It's great.
I'm sure.
I honestly I'm like a psychedelic evangelist now. Like I really honestly I fully respect people that don't want to try it. Like I'm not trying to like peer pressure anyone into it, but the people that are like curious, the people that are like I was a year ago who are like maybe like I mean I would try it maybe if I was comfortable. Like I'm all about trying to get them in the right setting and like help because it's a great time. It really is like a really great experience. So I
is a psychedelic evangelist better than a Unabomber evangelist?
Oh my god. Probably I can you have to have me and Ryan on your show together to debate that exact topic. Which one's better? We'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
He might beat me because he's probably researched his thing better than I have.
Yeah, he is someone I wouldn't actually want to really debate on anything because he's kind of a genius. But
he is someone that I would want to debate and would just go into it knowing that I might walk away losing and be completely fine with it.
Yeah, I mean, you'll lose anything. I mean, I'm trying to I would probably beat him in a debate about trucking or like
maybe guns.
Maybe guns or the White Mountains in New Hampshire or something like that. But like, there's
something super specific.
Yeah, it'd have to be something very specific that I know about a lot because he's a very knowledgeable person. But
I will debate him on New York State weed laws.
He'll probably
or knife laws. Yeah,
that's the problem. He's going to be
yeah, there's nothing. None of the things that we disagree on do I know or care enough about. Because there's no way I'm going to convince him that like he shouldn't have a Confederate flag in the background of his videos.
Yeah. No, I think he's actually like he has some interesting points about the Civil War that I think he's right on. And the problem is like people put you in two camps. Like if you don't think we could have avoided the war, then you're pro-slavery, which is dumb. You know, like you can think that the war was bad, it shouldn't have happened, and that Lincoln was a tyrant, but you can also think slavery is like one of the worst things that's ever happened in the United States. And that was a scourge that should have been abolished. So you can think both of those things. It's just like nowadays how they compartmentalize you. If you don't think we should have gone to war in Afghanistan, that you're a terrorist and that you think that, you know, everyone who died on 9/11 deserved it or whatever. And it's like, well, no, you know, there's kind of some middle ground there, you know, there's nuance. So he is one of those guys. Like he's not, I mean, I've talked to him I've had him on 3 times now. And the first time we actually talked about it a bit, but he is right about the Union and Lincoln and Grant and corporatism and lobbyists and the complete destruction of any sort of like possibility of laissez-faire economics ever existing ever again. And so, I mean, it is an interesting discussion, but I don't know. I think the image matters, you know, like the Confederate flag doesn't convey the images that he would he would put to it when most people see it. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
it has. I think that matters. So
I'm personally just never in favor of flying a losing flag like that. Uh, like that's personally just how I see it. Is like I don't see it as a rebel flag necessarily. Um, I see it as just like a flag of a country that no longer exists. And so honestly, like Southerners that fly it, I don't mind it quite as much. But like growing up in upstate New York, I saw it all over the place, and it's just like it's just one of those cringy things that I'm kind of just like, can we not? Can we just not do that?
see
I'm all
what
for the the
Oh, sorry.
vibe behind it. Sorry, yeah, I'm all for the, like you said, slavery was bad. Lincoln was a tyrant,
Yeah.
worst president ever.
What I don't get is so I'm not a nationalist myself. I don't really care about the American flag or anything. Like I just don't. Um, but what I find extremely ironic are like the back the blue, how dare you kneel during the national anthem people who also fly the Confederate flag. Like that to me is confusing. Fuck, because it's like because the Confederate flag is the most anti-American flag that exists. It's literally like the dissolve the Union flag, like the secession flag, the break up the United States flag, the treason flag. Like they were committing treason technically, which I have no problem with on that front. Like just the front of treason and breaking up the United States. Like that sounds great. Like
Yeah,
I'm not
pick
against
one.
that at all. Yeah, it's just pick one. Like if you want to be a respect the flag, because then okay, the Confederate flag doesn't really fit in with that message very well. So I don't know.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you. I feel the same way about the Gadsden flag, which is behind me, in rainbow colors.
Yeah. With
The people that fly
blue flag.
that and the back the blue flag, oh my god, fucking drives me nuts. It drives me absolutely nuts. It's like, yeah, pick one, please.
Yeah.
So honestly, like I'm willing to. A lot of people will just like write off people that have a Confederate flag or something like that, and be like, "Oh, they're fucking like you're a racist or whatever," right? I'm 100% willing to talk to people in that camp, because if they're flying it for the right reason, like Ryan, it's easy to figure out which camp they're in, right? And if they're in that camp, then they're an ally and a good one already, right? So it's worth at least a conversation to let them explain why they're choosing to fly the flags that they're choosing to fly. Now, a back the blue flag, that's an almost instant, like, no thanks.
Yeah.
But even that, like, I'll have a conversation. Like, do you think
Yeah.
that qualified immunity is a horrible idea and that the police are overly militarized? But you just think that the good ones need to be protected and able to do the good job. Like, because I know plenty of people that are in that camp and still fly the back the blue flag.
Yeah.
Well,
I wouldn't fly a Confederate flag just because of the connotations that come with it. And I also, like, even though I'm for secession now, basically, and I do think that the Union was terrible, I also wouldn't have fought for the Confederacy, I don't think. Like, that would have been a war that I just wouldn't have wanted to be a part of. Like, it was to me, it was really an industrial war, like cotton versus the mills. Like, it was the industrial North versus the plantation owners in the South. That was really what the war was kind of fighting over. Like to me, all the pawns in the middle were fighting for the rich men on the top. Like it wasn't strictly about slavery. It was mostly about economics, I think. And it wouldn't have been a war that I would have supported the cause for. But when I see the flag, it doesn't offend me personally, and I don't think of it as a racist flag, but I can understand why black people would take it a different way, especially in the South. Like I mean, come on, like
Right.
obviously. But yeah, same feeling on the back of the blue flag. Like the Confederate flag, I see it. It doesn't give me any gut reactions when I see a back the blue flag. Like I literally kind of get angry when I see it. I'm just like, oh man, that it makes me mad. So
Can relate for sure. Uh, yeah, I just to be able. The biggest problem for me is the blue flags are new, right?
yeah,
Like this is a new addition to culture. Like they saw the movement that like police brutality was a problem. They saw that, they watched it happen and they went, we need to make sure that there's a strong voice for keeping it the way that it is.
yeah,
And it's like but but uh, why? Stop. Fuck off. Like what's wrong with you? How do you walk into this situation and go, yeah, this is great how it is? Like asset forfeiture, the qualified immunity, no knock raids, those are all super dope things. Let's keep them around.
I don't even think it's that intellectual. I don't think they know what any of those things are, really. I mean, I think it's just completely cultural, just dumbassery. Like, I mean, when I went to the protests last summer, I didn't find too many informed people there. It was just emotion. It was all anger. And I think that's what the blue people are too. I don't think that they actually understand what's going on. I don't think they know what civil asset forfeiture or qualified immunity is. I don't think they really understand how bad no-knock raids are, and how militarized the police are. I don't think they get it. I think it's just completely emotional. But yeah, I don't know. I don't have respect for people who support causes emotionally without any information. So I mean, regardless of what side you're on, but I'll be more upset if you're supporting something bad through ignorance and just through emotion. So
Yes, 100% agreed. I will almost always excuse ignorance if when you're shown facts, you're willing to shift. Actually, that was something that came up in the conversation with my dad earlier about the pastor, was because he said that he was the pastor that the rest of the deacon board likes is apparently not great. But my dad said that he appreciates him sticking to his beliefs, and I was like, no, that's like the one thing that I don't want to see. I don't want to see somebody just blindly, like arguing for whatever it was that they were brainwashed into believing their entire life. The kid's 28, like he doesn't know shit, right? Like I don't know shit. I'm 24. You don't know shit, right? Like if you were just dogmatic in everything that you believed right now, you would be a moron for the rest of your life.
yeah,
So like, no, that's the worst thing that you could have said. Like, if anything, if you had said he's not great on everything, but he's really like looking to improve and get better and learn from experience, then I would have been like, all right, yeah, that's all I'm looking for, really.
yeah.
And honestly, there's a question in the comments, and I'll lead right into the answer. It's how do I feel about conservatarianism? Conservatarians. That's how you say it. And basically the same way. Like if you're working to promote small government and liberty and good things, then you're on my team, and we are a go.
Yeah, I was a conservatarian, so I think the natural progression, if you're a good conservatarian, is you'll become an anarchist eventually. I think it's kind of inevitable, but
Oh, I'm sorry. My headphones just cut out. What'd you say?
I said I was a conservatarian once, and I think if you're a true conservatarian, you'll eventually become a libertarian and then an anarchist. So,
right.
You're headed the right way.
Stumble down the path eventually.
Yeah.
Same with if you're a true progressive.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I think so.
Because if you're a true progressive or a true conservative, the eventual goal is anarchy. Okay.
Yeah. I think you just start to see the holes in it otherwise, Like, I mean, it's so obvious right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why you can't be dogmatic, but you also can't be like mad at yourself for even how long it might take you to go down. It's like, you and I both came in 2016. Like, it's been 5 years of learning this stuff, and it took us until this year to really take that last leap, right? So I feel like, if you're learning at any speed, you're learning, right? Like, that's the important thing to remember, is that there's not even like everyone learns at their own pace and will get there. And so, if you're a statist until you're 60, like, it's okay. Jesus forgives all.
Yeah, I think there's a difference between being dogmatic and finally like being grounded in a philosophy that shapes the way you think. So being dogmatic is like, I'm a libertarian. What am I supposed to think about guns? What am I supposed to think about immigration? And then finding out the platform and being like, okay, that's what I think, versus eventually adopting a laissez-faire mindset, and not just economically, but socially, enforced mentally, just like everything. Once you have that laissez-faire mindset, the issues just kind of fall into place for you, because it's like, okay, what's the path of least resistance? What is the way that we can get along without having men with guns throw people in cages in order to comply? And once you get to that point, I mean, you're going to arrive at those issues in a certain way. And that to me isn't dogmatism anymore. Like, at that point, it's because you have a philosophy that guides your decision making, where dogmatism to me is really like a set, a set number of positions on that you have to have certain views on in order to line up with some philosophy or whatever. So it's when you're not really digesting the issues through your philosophical view yet, and you're just trying to line yourself up with something. That's what dogma is to me, if that makes sense. But.
Yeah. So, Ronwell, I see your question in the comments. I'm going to actually save that one for after Eric comes in for the second hour, because I think he's going to have an opinion on it too. So I'm going to hold off on those, on also your second question, because he's got good intel on those. And he might bless us with a Jesse Ventura impression also if we wait. So I'm just trying to help you guys out, get the most enjoyment. So it's all about the entertainment, right? Yeah, I agree. We can't ask people what we're supposed to believe. We can ask people what they believe and then figure out whether or not we want to believe that too. Like, that's how it works. I was listening to an Alan Watts thing last night, and he said, actually, I'm not sure if it was him, because it was a mix of people. But the quote was, "Everything important that you've learned from someone else." And I'm like, yeah, that's pretty accurate. Because even if you taught yourself, you probably still learned from someone. Like, you read a book that someone else wrote, or you watched a video that someone else recorded. Like, almost everything you've learned, except for just like the basic like life stuff from experience, maybe. But like, even that's mostly experience with other people, right? So, it's like people like are very, very important to the whole thing. So you can't, but you can't rely on them like 100% to just like tell you what to think, because that's just a jackass way to live life.
Yeah, it's to have like I talked about this when I went on Dave's show. It's good having empirical influences and philosophical influences. So it's good like to live life and try to sort things out on your own, but then also like listen to other people, and then you can kind of connect it and see, oh yeah, that makes sense because this lines up with how this worked out in my life, and this makes sense because I remember when this happened, and so it's good to have both. Good to have the philosophical and the on the ground lived experiences. So
yeah, agreed. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for watching so far. This has been a good conversation. We're about to start the second hour with Mr. Eric Jackman. But first, I want to tell you about a cool opportunity that we have going on at Free Speech Media. If you're watching on Free Speech Media, there's a link in the comments to an internship application. We are trying to find a couple of people to help us out with some video editing and some social media stuff. If you are watching on anything else, I'm about to post a link tree in those comments. Give me 2 seconds. So go, and that link is in there. So you guys can go check that out. We are really hoping to bring like a lot of really good content to you guys over the summer, and we could use some help. So if you want to help out, go fill out that Facebook application, and we're gonna play a little bit of some of the other stuff that's going on at FSM. Nice little ad that we've got, and we will be right back with the second hour.
Get ready to remove the filter from your timeline. Get ready to break the censorship of social media. Get ready to support the grassroots alternative to establishment propaganda. Get ready for an authentic voice. Get ready to resist cancel culture. Get ready for free speech media. This is FSM.
All right, so yeah, go check out that link tree or the link depending on where you're watching it from, and get involved, because we're going to be doing some great stuff. But we have a wonderful, wonderful guest for you guys tonight. He's a good friend who we got to spend a lot of time with in New Hampshire this past year, working for Tulsi Gabbard. Nice reunion. Eric Jackman, welcome to the show.
David Reed, aloha.
Aloha,
how we doing?
Tucker.
How we doing? Aloha, Tucker. How we doing, boys?
We are doing fantastic. I hope you're enjoying yourself up in the snowy white north.
Yeah, we got a little bit of snow here after we had some warm weather. We always get teased with that, and it's melted though. And I was out walking in downtown Peterborough today, doing my walk, and all clear, all quiet on the Western Front.
Nice.
Just waiting for the boog to pop off, whenever that might be.
That would be fantastic. We're waiting. Fingers crossed. Wait, can we say that live on YouTube?
I'm ready in my truck just in case.
Reed,
there we go.
Reed ready to pop,
Reed is ready.
Just in case Reed gets visited by a little green man in his truck at night, he's ready to go. Set phasers for stun.
All right, Eric. So actually, yeah, let's start off with a question that we got from the comments that I held for you, because I wanted both your opinion and also maybe your comedic brilliance in this response. So Ronwell is asking, what do we think about the Jesse Ventura Cynthia McKinney 2024 ticket?
Oh man.
Well, sorry, there's a two-part question, because also they asked, what is your take on some Marxists saying that Cynthia McKinney is a libertarian?
Well, I've had both of them on my show, actually. I've had Jesse Ventura on Jackman Radio twice. The first time I had him, he called in. It was a phone interview. And then the second time, I got to sit down with him for an hour in person. And I interviewed him at a really cool bar theater in Brooklyn called the Nighthawk Cinema, which is just opening up now after being uncucked. New York City's starting to get a little uncucked. Some of their places you can start going in person. So I sat down with Jesse for an hour and did a great interview with him. And then over this last summer, Cynthia McKinney, I did a Zoom video YouTube interview with her. So I'm a big fan of both of them. And Ventura's been playing this game. Maybe I'm running, maybe I'm not running. Maybe I'm off the grid, maybe I'm on the grid. I can't tell. I can't tell where I am right now. And he's kind of just turned it into like a professional part of his shtick, teasing a presidential run, and then at the last minute it just goes to shit, and nothing really happens, and we're just all like, okay, great, Jesse, you talked a big game. A lot of people wanted you to run, and I can't do it. I'd lose my insurance. I can't do it. And look, I understand that. That's a perfectly reasonable thing. It's kind of sad. It's a sad state of affairs where someone who would be a major player in a third party, if he were to actually run, can't run for president because, of not getting health insurance, which sucks. And then McKinney.
Maybe we should have Medicare for all.
Well, I'm a fan of Medicare for all, but obviously, the government can't really run anything that well. But I don't know if it would be
if they could.
Well, it'd be nice. It'd be nice if there was just some funny money set aside that the states could then take. Maybe the Fed could block grant money to the states, and then they could take that money and run their system of Medicare for all. Because it's not one size fits all. But McKinney. Yeah, McKinney ran in 2008. She was the Green Party nominee in 2008. But it would be awesome to see them run together. I would get excited about that. But her being a libertarian, I mean, she's definitely based. She's Mondo based. Like there's no getting around that. When she was in Congress, man, she was one of the only ones who was in there actually holding the war machine, taking them to task. She was on the Defense Appropriations Committee with Duncan Hunter. He was the chairman, and she got to grill Donald Rumsfeld when he was sitting Secretary of Defense. And if you guys have never seen it, that's some of the best footage, some of the greatest questioning ever, and making a reptile sweat. You've never seen a reptile sweat more than Donald Rumsfeld when Cynthia McKinney is grilling him about 9/11 and our lack of air response from NORAD, and then money going towards contracts to a defense contractor called DimeCorp, which was involved in human trafficking and child smuggling over in Eastern Europe. So it would be a base ticket. I think they would balance each other out pretty well. But he's asking if she's a libertarian, if Cynthia McKinney's a libertarian.
Just your opinion of her being called one, I guess, was the question. So
certainly on some big picture issues, you could call her libertarian-ish, or lining up with where libertarians are. She's against stupid wars. She has a record of standing up to the war machine while she was in Congress. She's certainly for.
She's as libertarian as most libertarians think Tulsi is, even though Tulsi is more libertarian than her.
Yeah, I mean, she's good on civil liberties. Cynthia McKinney's definitely good on those. Good on foreign policy, drug policy. She wants to end the drug war. I've heard her talk about the Federal Reserve. She's based about the Federal Reserve. She knows all about that. The creature from Jekyll Island. She knows about the creature from Jekyll Island. But, I would want Cynthia to come meet with me in Minnesota, and we'd have to outline our platform. We'd have to talk about some things. Number one, Cynthia, do you know how to surf? I do a lot of surfing in the Baja. It's important my running mate knows how to surf. Number two, if we're in a live debate and Kamala Harris starts popping off, could you take a chair to her face? Would you do that? Would you be willing to do that? This is combat, Cynthia, okay? We ain't in Georgia no more, sweetheart.
Yeah, Eric, I think it would be a great ticket if you, Ryan, me, and Pete could be the advisors for the campaign. Then I think.
Yep.
Oh, dude, the level of based. I mean, we could. I mean, dude, you think about it. You think about some of the absolute fucking clowns that Donald Trump had around him, and these people are just high plains grifters who were in it for themselves to get proximity, just so they could be in the wake of the king's fart gas, so they could monetize that. You know, like, look, I literally I can fart and people can make $10 million off the fumes. Okay, you wouldn't believe it. They could monetize my fart fumes like you wouldn't believe. Okay, book deals. They can get on Newsmax. They can get on OAN with Jack Posobiec. Okay, they can do incredible things just with my just bottling a little bit of my fart gas, Reed. Okay, but no, I mean, you know, anyone who's actually a learned person and who gives a damn and has a nuanced opinion of the world, they don't get anywhere near a president to be their advisor. Or certainly running a presidential campaign that has any chance of winning, you know?
Yeah, just imagine if we could be the advisors to Trump, even like the four of us. If we had been, like he'd been a much better president.
Reed, there were so many times where Mike and I would just be here watching the king do his thing and saying stuff and being like, he has the stupidest people around him who don't give a shit. They're in there for their own ends. You know, the Kushners are in there to ball gag Netanyahu as deep as they could, you know, and do whatever, lay down and do whatever Israel wants, you know. Netanyahu says jump, I say, how many Palestinians are we going to kill today? Okay. But yeah, we could have given the king a lot of great advice, man. I mean, he was running his mouth about letting all the Kennedy files come out and totally declassification of that. We were really psyched about that for my boy back here, JFK. And
can we talk about the aliens?
Well, you know, look, it's a very interesting thing, David. You know, you mentioned the little green guys. Now, these are a different kind of illegal alien, okay? They come from a border that's not so clearly defined. It's kind of more of a nebulous border, okay? And we have Elon Musk right now. He's working on this big league up there with the Space Force. They're doing things like you wouldn't believe, but I can't really talk about it too much. I've told Don Jr. a little bit about the aliens and the green people and the floating pyramids. The floating pyramids are unbelievable. I mean, that is an incredible thing that's happening up there. So we're taking a look at that, and we're going to see what's some amazing things that are going to happen, David. It's going to make your head spin. The fucking aliens. That wouldn't even be the craziest thing if aliens revealed.
I really thought he like so I don't know. Actually, Eric, you met Livy McKay, right? When we did the Jimmy Dore marijuana or the cannabis convention or whatever we called it.
Yeah, Livy came to the state and did that great panel with Tulsi and my friend Matt Simon.
Yes,
and Jimmy Dore.
Yes,
and
so
yeah, Livy's great. We stayed in touch, and I had her on my show. And yeah, she's done a lot of great work.
She's an amazing person. So like the end of 2020, I was actually working with her. I was out in Colorado with Zach Josephs and her husband. It was super based for some of.
There was probably some Russian intrigue too, some KGB GRU intrigue.
Oh, so much. But so she was actually, after Trump lost, she fully believed for days. Like, I'm not trying to like out her, but she like was really psyched that he might declassify like all the Area 51 shit. Because she's like, why not? Like, why wouldn't he? He's such a fucking like schizo.
Firecracker.
Like, what reason does she really have to think, no, he wouldn't do something that stupid? Like, because he would, right? Like, he so would.
Oh, revealing the aliens is very, very on brand for the king. Like, he totally would have done it. Trump aliens are the best aliens, okay? I'm bringing in my advisor, Will Smith from Independence Day. I've consulted the last president who dealt with the aliens, Bill Pullman. He did a great job, by the way, dealing with the aliens in Independence Day. Great track record. He had Jeff Goldblum as an advisor. He had Will Smith. It was incredible. They even had the crazy doctor with the albino hair who played Data from Star Trek. He did a great job. Yeah, I was, you know.
Can we just talk about how Jeff Goldblum actually should be a presidential advisor?
I mean, he showed his chops in Independence Day. He did a great job advising Bill Pullman when he was president in his first term there. And Goldblum's dealt with fucking dinosaurs. He's dealt with flies. He's dealt with flies that kill people. He's got a really good record. And we're looking at him, David. We might bring him on board if I run again in 2024. I might just have to beat the Democrats for a third time, okay? for a third time.
For a third time.
But no, I'm with Livy. I was hopeful that the king was going to help pardon Snowden, Assange, to declassify the fucking Kennedy files, aliens, and 9/11 disclosure. None of it happened.
Mm-mm.
Surprise! Big shocker. Big shocker.
Big shocker.
But that would have been the time for it to happen, though.
Mm-hmm. Well, you brought it up, so I'll ask it. Do you think he's running again?
Yeah. I don't think the king. I don't think his ego can allow him not to run. He's even got Nikki Haley collared, which I like. I can picture him just with a nice gold leash that he walks Nikki Haley on. All right, Nikki, go get your bone. Go get your bone. But Nikki Haley was saying, I won't be running if Trump runs again, and we'll have a conversation about that. And to me, her and DeSantis would be your front runners if Trump announced tomorrow he's not going to be running. So when I hear them kind of say that kind of thing, to me, it just signals that he's definitely going to run again. We also need to see how this platform goes, that he's going to launch his own social media platform or something. They've been kind of vague about what it's going to be, but I'm here for it. I mean, I'm excited about it. And whatever it is, it's going to be 100% uncut ghoul, but it's going to be very entertaining.
Yeah.
It's going to be great. It's how Batman is like the hero we need, but not the one we deserve or whatever. Trump is the one we deserve, but not the one we need. Like he's the opposite.
Oh yeah, he's everything. But I think it was Ryan Dawson Reed who said on our last Four Horsemen episode that government's always going to suck. It's going to be terrible. So if it's going to be terrible, it should at least be entertaining.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the king, no one does it better. That no one gets better ratings. Nobody does golden showers with Russian hookers in hotel rooms where the Obamas slept like Trump. Okay, so we need him, Reed. We need him. We're not going to get good governance. So the clown show just should be entertaining.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about transparency because he supplies the transparency perfect. Like he is the most American president we could ever have.
He's the Big Mac porn star president, and he was incredible. Oh, Stormy Daniels, I don't know her, but I call her Horseface. We call her Horseface. And then now
have you guys seen Idiocracy?
It's a documentary now.
Yes, it really is. Have you seen it, Reed?
I haven't.
Oh,
it's worth a watch.
Yeah, you would very much enjoy it, I believe. So basic storyline is two people get frozen for 500 years or something like that.
I don't remember how long, but
some amount of time, and humanity de-evolves basically into back into cavemen intelligence level
into Mecca.
Yeah, and Terry Crews is the president.
What is his name? El Camacho?
Yeah, El Camacho.
Camacho.
Something. Yeah.
And State of the Unions are wrestling matches with
he's an ex wrestling superstar that so honestly super up Trump's alley. It's a little if Trump was, Trump's a WWE Hall of Famer, but he wasn't actually a wrestler. But we came really close.
We did.
Really
we
close.
did. Well, Ventura could get us there. I'll deliver my State of the Union in spandex wearing a pink boa. How about that?
I would love to see that.
I'll go out there and I'll bitch slap Mitch McConnell in his ugly turtle face. But it's entertainment, political. It's just political theater now, and it's bread and circus. It's wedge issues. It's team baseball, red versus blue, and it's all full retard on both sides of the spectrum.
Yeah,
and that's what that movie is. Mm-hmm. There's a channel that's just called the Butt Channel, which makes me think of twerking and TikTok and Instagram as just girls' butts. Which I'm cool with that. I'm not that. I don't know.
Yeah, there are definitely parts of the movie where you're like, well, shit, I'm part of this.
Yeah,
I'm a participant because it's what 10, almost 15 years old now. Yeah, that movie. Around there.
When did that movie come out?
I'm not sure. I'm gonna look it up while I finish my point. Because it's a little bit old, so we've been able to kind of watch some of it happen, and then 06. So 15 years old. yeah, we've gotten to watch some of it happen, and we've gotten to participate in it. Like you're saying, like Instagram and TikTok and that kind of stuff. You're like, oh shit, this is part of it. Like going from TV to Netflix and just that like instant like gratification kind of thing. And even how they watch TV, there's like 8 different things going on at once. Like I can't count how many times like I'll be watching something on TV and then also watch a video on Twitter that I scroll past, right?
Yeah.
It's just a step in that direction. And
Yeah.
it scares the shit out of me when I see like my 5-year-old nephew do kind of some of the same stuff. He'll be like watching TV and playing on his tablet at the same time. And I'm like,
Yeah. Well, I mean, the fact that we're all on screens now, I mean, I know growing up, my generation, I think I was one of the last to not have social media to be as pervasive and just in our face as it is now.
mm-hmm.
And I can't imagine having to grow up now and you're filmed no matter where you are. You're filmed by the surveillance state, and then you're filmed by other zombies who get their phones out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a terrible, unnatural way to live.
Yeah. No, you're 100% right.
Scary.
So, Eric, I've always talked to you about politics, and I've never really gotten to talk to you about work. So I'm curious, what got you into radio? Like,
yeah, well, I went to Franklin Pierce. It was Franklin Pierce College when I went there, and then my last year or two became Franklin Pierce University. And they had a great mass media program there, and they had an awesome state-of-the-art communication center called the Marlin Fitzwater Center, which was named after Marlin Fitzwater was Ronald Reagan and H.W. Bush's press secretary.
mm-hmm.
And he was tied in with Franklin Pierce, so he was on the board, and, helped raise money for the college. So they named the communication center after him, and he was, through him, able to get some pretty cool political people to come through and help raise money and be involved. So that played a big part in my decision to want to stay in New Hampshire, where I had grown up since 4th grade. So I decided to stay in Rindge, my hometown, and go to Franklin Pierce because I wanted to pursue political science and politics, but also the media aspect of it. And what was different about Pierce, a lot of other colleges don't let underclassmen get in the studio, play around with the gear, and get their own show. Whereas Franklin Pierce, right away you can get going and get your own show going. So I met some like-minded people and started my own TV show that I had on campus that would run on campus wide, which was cool. And this was 2005, 06, 07. And obviously I've always been in the New Hampshire primary, so it was just the perfect blend of the two things to come together, my interest in politics and then my interest in theater and acting and performing and being in front of an audience. So I was able to put all that together and use it. And, with as you know, the amazing access we have here to presidential candidates, it was perfect for that and really helped me hone my skills and get more comfortable in front of people and, really just look at politicians as, just other people and then not look at them like they're gods or be in awe of them. And
Yeah.
Although I love Ron Paul, obviously I love Tulsi, obviously, but like other people running for president, they're like, yeah, they're just blowing through our state and they're just like anyone else. And we can get up close to them and ask them real questions that other people aren't going to ask them. So my brother and I always took advantage of that proximity and that ability to get a camera and ask them pretty cool questions.
Nice. That's awesome. I feel when I started my fight for liberty, I felt very underprepared. My sister actually went to college for communications, and so she has all this technical knowledge and shit, and I'm just I absorbed some of it through osmosis, but I have the tiniest amount of knowledge. I used to run the sound booth at my church, so I've got that part down, but there's no sound booth here. I'm working off a StreamYard, so that knowledge actually doesn't help me at all. So it definitely, when I started this, I was like, I wish that I was technically trained going into this. But a lot of my friends are in the same boat. I mean, Reed's pretty much. You don't have any technical training in this, do you, Reed?
Well, I also worked on the the worship team at church, so I knew a lot about like sound and everything. But yeah, it doesn't have any connection. This is mostly from making World War II movies in high school. That was like my biggest connection to anything that I do now. It's just the video familiarity. But yeah, I don't have any technical training. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we both were in front of people and like we're okay with cameras and stuff like that. I think that part's helpful. But
yeah.
do you have any advice for other people that are not technically trained and want to do stuff like this?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm not either. I'm terrible with technology. I'm pretty analog myself. I'm like an old robot. I can barely navigate my way from the bathroom to the bedroom when I have to take a piss at 2 a.m. on my horse farm out here in Minneapolis. Become friends with people who know how to do it. So my interviews that I did, my Politics and Pints series, the reason those videos are so professional and so really just beautifully done is one of my best friends from college, my friend named Jeff, who films weddings for a living, is a brilliant cinematographer and film editor, and you got to search your network for people who have specialized knowledge and skill and experience in all those aspects of production. So you throw a line out there and see who you can find and who you can come up with, and it will cost some money. I mean, even though he's my best friend, I'm not going to have him drive up. He lives in Connecticut. I'm not going to have him drive up from Connecticut and set up all this gear and get a shoot going and all the lights, and then mic us up and mic our guest up and not pay him. So money's part of it. But it's like it's a cycle. So if you get a good product, then you're going to get viewers, you're going to get more subscribers. The quality is going to be good. People are like, we interviewed Andrew Yang. That was our first interview for our Politics and Pints, and the quality was so good that Andrew Yang's campaign used clips of our interview without giving us credit or anything, without even tagging us in any of it. But he used footage from our interview for his stuff, for his campaign. And that was just, my brother and I envisioning doing interviews with candidates and setting up a camera shoot. So, you can find people. There's people out there. You could find them through the network and put it out there through word of mouth. And more times than not, someone will know someone who's good with video, someone who's got experience doing that. And there's freelance people out there who are looking for work in this field right now, so you could probably get them on a per diem basis if you line up like a big name and want to sit down and do a shoot. But as far as like streaming in this, I'm not really technically that great at it myself, but I just, like anything in life, man, if I don't know how to do something, I try and tap my network and reach out to people who might know someone, and then get in touch with them and see if they're interested in collaborating.
Eric, I got a question for you. Like, you and Mike have both asked some pretty in-your-face questions to some high-profile people. Do you remember the first time you did that to somebody, and were you like, does anything stick out? Like, the first like high-profile person that you asked a really controversial question, or really like, I didn't know if you have any that jump out at you.
Wow. Well, your heart definitely races because you're like, holy shit, because you've seen this person so many times on TV and you've seen pictures of them, and you're like, wow, here I am face to face with them. I don't want to fuck this up, And my brother made the good point that if you are going to have a prepared question, write it down and rehearse it a couple times to yourself in the mirror before you're going to ask. But as far as high profile goes, I came face to face with Crooked Hillary. There's a video of that. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it. It actually happened here in Peterborough, and this was during the 2008 primary when she was running for president the first time. And it was a rope line. There was Secret Service around her, and she finally got to me. And the way I got her to stay engaged with me is I grabbed a baseball from someone that they wanted autographed, but because where I was in the rope line, I would be able to get her to autograph it. So I said, Senator, can you sign this baseball while I ask you a question? She said, absolutely. And I asked her about her attending the 2006 Bilderberg Conference in Ottawa, Canada.
Ooh.
And to my knowledge, no one had ever asked her about that. And like my heart was pumping through my chest. I was like, "Oh my god, I'm actually gonna fucking do this! Like, are these Secret Service guys gonna tackle me? Like, are people are gonna make fun of me? What you worry about all that shit? Are people gonna think I'm crazy?" But like, so while she was signing the ball, I said Senator. It was reported in June of 2006. You attended the Bilderberg conference in Ottawa, Canada. Do you care to comment on that? And there was like an awkward pause, and then she did the fucking satanic crooked Hillary cackle. Her head went back, and she did the cackle. I have no idea what you're talking about. Ha 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 ha. I said, yeah, you do. Your husband went to one before, and then she confirmed that. She went, yeah. And I said, well, people saw you up there, and I'm not trying to be rude, but I just want to know what you were doing up there, why you were there, and how come the press isn't allowed to cover it. And she's like, well, since I have no idea, I wasn't there, I have no idea what you're talking about. And then she was getting away from me. But yeah, that's pretty as high profile as you can get, But yeah. I'll send you guys that video. It'd be pretty cool if we could clip it and put out there. And then that was a cool experience. And then at that same event, my best friend, who we would do these True Squads with, he yelled at Hillary. He pulled like an Alex Jones and said that he's not her slave and she'll be defeated and your new world order. It was incredible. It was incredible. Wow. So I asked Crooked about Bilderberg, and then I asked John Edwards about it too, and he admitted to being there. And there's a video of that too. I could track that down for you too.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
So those were pretty cool face-to-face confrontations with some powerful people. And then of course Mike had an epic question. He asked Jeb Bush in Keene about when Jeb was when low energy Jeb, when he was governor of Florida, he cucked the files about the hijackers who were training down there at a flight school called Huffman Aviation, which was the flight was a flight school, but it was a front for drug smuggling. And there's some evidence to suggest that the hijackers who were training there were also involved in drug smuggling, and they were intelligence assets. So after 9/11 happened, a Ryder truck showed up to Huffman Aviation, and a couple of people confirmed that Jeb was on board a cargo plane, and they loaded all the files onto the plane, and it took off for DC, and they've never been seen again. So Mike was, had solid intel on that, and no one, to his knowledge, had ever asked Jeb Bush about it. So there's a great video of that, of Mike asking Jeb about it. Which
doesn't Jeb kind of like, he kind of ignores it at first and goes like on to the next question, and then he's finally like, you know what? I can't stand that you asked that question, or like kind of goes back at him.
You know what my brother did on 9/11? After 9/11, he created an infrastructure and safety that kept our country safe. It's like the World Trade Center came down during your brother's reign. That's not safe. But yeah, those are like some of our greatest hits. And Mike asked Biden about a program called Able Danger, and it's another 9/11 related question. Yeah, we'd have to dig these tapes up. They're somewhere in the deep dark web. But yeah, when you're doing that, man, you're nervous. I'm nervous during all that, but when you can get a good tape of it, get a good soundbite from it, it's definitely a cool thing to have. Yeah,
a little bit jelly. Like, those are some dope ass stories. I'm looking forward to. I'm a little bit non-confrontational in most of my encounters, even when I talk to non-friendlies. So
yeah, for those we would wear suits and ties, and we would not come across as hostile or confrontational, but we would be confident in the research of the question and the content of the question. So that would kind of help you in asking the question and getting it out there. Mm-hmm. So 2024, if the king doesn't run, there'll be all kinds of ghouls here in New Hampshire. So yeah, we should definitely get a True Squad committee going. And if I can't get them to come on my podcast, I'll definitely want to show up with a camera and ask questions.
Yes, we'll be doing that on Free Speech Media Live.
Yeah,
like a whole thing we're trying to do is cover what's really going on. So actually, I'll talk about this a little bit because it's not necessarily a thing yet, but it's been a thing a couple of times already, and we're trying to do it more. we found out a loophole in a lot of state governments' rules, because there are rules that allow state legislatures to have a closed session, and so where the public is not allowed in, but press still is. And so we're able to actually go in there with press passes because of what we're doing on the network, and actually live stream what's going on in there. And so there was a hearing on, I believe, the constitutional carry in Maine is where they found this loophole, and now we're working to do it more, but also like political rallies and kind of some of the stuff that like what you're talking about, where really like asking people the tough questions to their faces live, because that's the way that it's fun.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's a brilliant idea. You should absolutely do that. And, hopefully by the time the next primary gets up and running again, things won't be as closed off because of the flu world order. But yeah, I mean, for a lot of these events, man, these are...
You said the flu world order. Oh my God, I can't.
David, we're talking about a flu world order here. They're ushering in 1,000 years of darkness. They're using Soros. They got Bill Gates. He wants to block the sun. This is all documented stuff, folks. I'm not making this up. I'm doing 20, 40, 70, 80-hour days here, folks, at InfoWars. But, yeah, for a lot of these, man, we just find out where the candidate's going to be and get someone to run the camera, have a nice microphone, and have your questions ready for you. Have have backup questions, too. So...
That's the thing I learned from doing the show, was you can never really have too many questions, because if you don't ask all of them, it does not fucking matter. That just means that you asked a couple of really good questions. You got some really good conversation out of it, right? If you don't have to restart it up too many times. But I went into too many 2-hour shows with 3 or 4 questions. These are really deep questions. I can get a half an hour out of each of them. And then I got 5-minute answers out of some of them. And I was 45 minutes in and nothing, and I'm out of questions. And there's still an hour to go.
Time for a Rand Paul drones filibuster.
Literally.
Yeah. Well, it's I'm lucky because I have a twin, so we do double the research. So you got 2 brains that are working, and if I miss something, chances are Mike got it, or if he missed something, I got it. We had the former CIA officer on our show Friday, John Kiriakou,
nice,
who blew the whistle on waterboarding and torture. Really cool guy, and Mike did a lot of research. We had him on 6 years ago when we first got started, when he just got out of prison. And I found out he was going to be in New Hampshire this past week visiting family. So I sent him a message, and we had met up and had dinner Friday night, and then went to our studio and sat down with him for an hour and a half. And
that's awesome.
Had a really cool conversation. But yeah, Mike did a lot of, new research into what he's been up to, and he was trying to get a pardon from the king, and get some great stories about that. He met with Rudy Giuliani, and Giuliani basically wanted $2 million to get a pardon. Yeah.
Selling presidential pardons.
Pardon peddling, man, is serious business.
I'm going to refill my water real quick, but I'll still be able to hear you guys.
InfoWars.
Yeah, that's what really pissed me off about Trump this time around, is how many liberty-minded people supported him who didn't support him 4 years ago. And 4 years ago, he at least wasn't a murderer yet that we knew of, at least. And he had ghouls around him, but not the same type of ghouls. It was, they were just icky. They weren't fucking Rudy Giuliani.
They were just slimy grifters.
Yeah, but this time around, it was just disgusting. I was like, oh, man, yeah, I don't know. I mean, he wasn't that much different than Biden in my eyes this time around. A little bit better, but just funnier, really. That's really the difference.
He's exactly. He's the sensation and the soul of the age, and I love how horrible he treats the press. I mean, I loved seeing him belittle all those assholes, because a lot of them are still around who lied to us about Iraq, and nothing. They've never been held accountable for that. It's just gone away. It's been memory hold. But Trump really gave a lot of them, the comeuppance that was needed. He's like, I think that's a very stupid question, and you should sit down. Next, he would just say that to like a CNN reporter's face. I fucking love that, dude. I love that.
Yeah.
You don't ever see a president do that. Put those motherfuckers in their place where they belong. Those lying, bottom-feeding fucking lowlifes who call themselves journalists. Really all they are, they're copy and paste technicians for the CIA and the intelligence agencies and the war machine. They're not journalists, So see,
I mean, the thing that I loved about him is what most people hated about him, and it was that he was crass and that he would
he's an asshole.
And I'm seeing that in the Libertarian Party now. Like, people don't like the assholes. They don't like the people who are rude or crass or politically incorrect. And I mean, I don't like the people who are trying to demonize people and who are trying to push people out of the party or whatever. But as far as people who are edgy or people who are making crass jokes or whatever, if that's pissing you off, when some of these people are the ones who have sizable audiences and they're people who are actually making a difference in doing something, and then you have these people who are just complaining about oh, this guy said this word and this guy said this. It's just I don't know. I don't have much tolerance for that. I don't really care.
It turns into high school. It turns into a cafeteria food fight, and that's not good for anyone. That's the other two gangs there, the Republicans and the Democrats. They love to see that because they need a disorganized liberty movement. They need a fractured liberty movement. They need a liberty movement that can't get its head out of its own ass and get its fucking act together and come up with a cohesive, clear strategy and path forward, and realize that getting libertarians together is like fucking herding cats. But if we don't come up with something and don't all get on the same page on the big issues, the 4 or 5 big issues that you've talked about, that Dave Smith's talked about, that Scott Horton talks about, the liberty movement is never going to amount to anything. It's never going to be a meaningful opposition that has actual power and ability to move the dialogue. Mm-hmm. If we can't do that. So I'm hopeful, man. What you guys have all been doing and getting the attention of some of these bigger name people who can, like Dave Smith, who can go on Kennedy on Fox News and reach millions of people with a quick 4 or 5 minute appearance is that has the power to unify and move things in the right direction. And you say, oh, I'm just a guy with a show, I'm just a truck driver, or I'm just a comedian. Well, we might all just be those things, but we are all also passionate guys who care and who want to see things change for the better. And we all put our money where our mouths were with Tulsi in 2020. We were out there. I saw plenty of armchair critics who hid behind a keyboard and were happy to tweet shit, but would never leave their basement or come out of their house or go to a rally or hold signs or knock on people's doors or make phone calls or put together events, and none of that. So we all have a record of doing that, man. And that's powerful in and of itself.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. I definitely agree with you there. I respect the amount of work that you've been putting into just educating people about what's really going on, for years, a hell of a lot longer than me and Reed have been doing it. So you laid the groundwork for this, really. I had Pasta on the show a little while back.
Oh, he's great.
About a week and a half ago now, I think. And we were talking about the start of alternative media. And it was a slow come up, but I personally think that radio, the kind of off-brand radio stuff, was the beginning of it, and then it morphed podcasts into the podcast kind of stuff, and then into more video series as YouTube became a thing, and then it became what it is now. But it really started with because radio was so much more decentralized than everything else, right? And so you could almost anyone could get on the radio somehow. It wasn't that difficult to get on your community radio and speak the truth. And so, we've centralized media because we care so much about production quality instead of content quality. And so the richer people are going to be able to do it better. Like Jimmy Fallon puts on a better show than I do. I'm sorry. It's just a thing.
Well, Jimmy Fallon is just a butt boy for the Pentagon and the Democratic Party and the establishment. He's a drunk puppet. He's a drunken sock puppet clown, just like Colbert, just like Kimmel.
Man, Jackman, tell me how you really feel.
Yeah. Now, it's not to say these guys aren't talented and funny in some ways, but if you or I had that platform, dude, we would be up there scorched earth, being based, talking about the children that die in drone strikes, talking about the heroin trade in the poppy fields in Afghanistan, talking about 30 trillion in debt, talking about fucking incarceration in this country for a plant, millions per capita, the most human beings incarcerated in the whole world. None of those guys, you don't hear anything meaningful come out of their mouths. It's just more identity politics, victim Olympics, divide and conquer, distraction and bullshit. And that's why, what you're doing here, we got to create our own media and keep talking about the big issues. And Ryan Dawson said it on our live stream the other day. He said, we're making an impact because we've been saying the same things. My brother and I have been saying these same things for 20 years that we've been engaged. I'm going to be 35 this year. I've been active politically since I was a 14, 15-year-old kid.
Did you just say you and your brother are engaged?
Well, we're Mormon and we're twins, so we're kind of into that. It's called twincest. It's an incredible thing. You wouldn't believe it, David. It's an incredible concept that we have going here. And to live free or die state.
That sounds like the most narcissistic thing humanly possible, because it's literally fucking yourself.
Oh man.
Well, if we're going to be technical, Mike and I have been engaged since 1986 when we were born. But we've been politically engaged and active. The Iraq War is what really kind of 9/11 happened, and then Iraq happened when I was in high school. And we were so outraged about the Iraq War that we took the unpopular stand of being publicly against it, in our high school. And people would say, you're a terrorist sympathizer, you hate this country, you're a traitor. And I'd be like, well, if you believe the 9/11 fairy tale and official narrative, Iraq had nothing to do with it. Right. So why now, just a few months later, are we talking about going and overthrowing a government and a sovereign nation? I said, what? Even as a 15-year-old kid, I said to my teachers, I'm like, okay, we get rid of Saddam. What happens after that?
Yeah.
How long do we have to stay there? This is going to be it's going to turn into an open-ended sectarian civil war. They're like, no, that's your naive high school brain. You don't know what you're talking about. Lo and behold, that's exactly what happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, it's that passion that has fueled us to keep doing this. And it's always been there. And whether it's a Democrat or a Republican, they all largely are in line with those big issues.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think people forget about the right-wing cancel culture we had 20 years ago. You were just kind of hinting at it there, that you were a terrorist sympathizer if you were against the war.
Yeah.
That was true. My parents were Republicans and they were against the war. We stood with signs on the side of the road in 2003. And they got all sorts of hell. My dad was a well-known teacher. We had just moved to Sunapee. So being against the war as the new family in town or whatever, was kind of sketchy, but
you guys are real out of line there doing that.
Yeah. But yeah, I was 9 and I'm the second oldest. So we were 11, 9, 7, 5, and 3. And we were all lined up on the side of the road with my parents out there in October or November when we were going in 2003 or whatever. And yeah, I don't know. That was formative. So
good for your parents. Yeah, absolutely. And that set course on your life, man, and on your views and how you view the world and how you actually think deeply about issues that really matter and affect people's lives. Imagine if, families put a fraction of the energy they put into stupid sports to like soccer and bringing Timmy to the baseball game, and we're going to go to the basketball game, and we're going to win a state championship. Imagine if they put a little bit of that energy into protesting the war, getting involved, going to the state capitals, writing to their members of Congress, getting loud, writing letters to the editor. We wouldn't have wars like that. But we're it's just bread and circus, and we're so distracted and dumbed down and shamed that you would be the only family in town saying no to this war.
Yeah.
Or get them to talk about gold and the Federal Reserve.
Oh, well, Liberty's popular with the young people. We got people talking about the creature from Jekyll Island and getting rid of the IRS and destroying the Federal Reserve and nuking the Pentagon. This is all amazing things. God bless Ron Paul.
So I'm actually really thankful because I was kind of a flighty kid. If anybody knows me well still, they know that I can kind of be bounce around from thing to thing. So like I played football, I almost played soccer and volleyball. I qualified for both of those teams. Like I almost got into a whole bunch of things. I tried out a whole bunch of little things, but the only things that I really stuck with and went all the way through were Boy Scouts and church stuff. And my parents really actually kind of pushed me with the Boy Scout thing. And I'm very thankful that they did because they kind of let me drift away from everything else that I at one point in time cared about. But they didn't really let me do that one because I had put in too much work before I started to drift away. And they're like, no, you're not going to like throw away 10 years of work because the last years you're getting lazy. And I'm really thankful that that was the thing that they pushed because I met my mayor and I met, I met my governors. Like I've met the last like 4 governors of New York. I was involved in stuff. I learned a bunch of stuff. I met a bunch of people. I have a few connections now that I wouldn't have had otherwise. I have something on my resume that says I'm an Eagle Scout, and that's done wonders for me in my professional life. And so I'm very thankful for that because it forced me, what you're saying. It's like, the thing that they put energy into was getting me to be participatory in my community and being able to like provide for myself. If a plane crashes in the wilderness, I can fucking survive. Like I've read my side of the mountain and hatchet, and I have my wilderness survival merit badge, and I'm good to go, people.
Well, if I die, you have permission to eat my body because there's plenty of meat here. It is very tender, very tender. Pack some extra barbecue sauce. But it is important. If you're passionate about something. And Mike and I were always known as the Jackman twins. They do impressions and comedy, but they're also like really serious about politics, and they really, really hate war. Like, if I had one thing on my tombstone, he really hated war. I'd be happy with that.
That's a based ass tombstone. I'm gonna say that. Like,
yeah,
I appreciate that.
Well, it just boils it all down, man. It's so I saw our kids sign up for the Iraq war there, all fueled and fired up because of 9/11. And I've recently connected with one. He served in Iraq, and he got back and became a full blown heroin addict. Basically homeless, just a broken shell of a human being. And amazingly, he's still alive. A lot of he lost people over there. I think one of his best battle buddies was killed right in front of him. So, you're talking severe trauma and PTS and something that's so unnatural that a human being is not supposed to see happen and go through. A small town New Hampshire kid ends up over in Iraq, having to do unspeakable things and having horrible things happening around him. And I just even knew when we were kids that it was wrong that he would be going over there 8,000 miles away and leaving New Hampshire for that. And I just was never afraid to question it out loud and publicly and say, why the hell are we going there? Why are we over there? And, we just need more people to not be afraid to speak out. And it's too bad that's the trajectory that happened with his life, and it's where he ended up. But I've seen him a few times in the last few months and have gone out, and had dinner with him. And I'm happy he's still around. But he went through horrible shit that he shouldn't have had to gone through. Now I know he signed up and he volunteered to go, but what was the point?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Oh, that's shit's hitting. Part of the problem, in my opinion, Dave really needs to copyright that shit so he can start making money off of how many times we say it. Part of the problem is that a lot of the people who get it, right, are like Reed, who is just like all right, fuck it, you want to be an idiot? Be an idiot. I don't give a shit. I'm just gonna go over here and like do my shit, and I'm too obnoxious. I don't quite go into that camp. I wish I could be more like Reed sometimes and give less fucks. But like a lot of the people that get it don't give that many fucks about things, or like don't really want to force change on people or force their opinions on people, or like push people down that path. So you end up with a culture where the only people that are really pushing their ideas on the next generation are the fucking morons and the assholes and the evil people. And that's just gone on for like 4 or 5 generations now, where the sensible humans have just kind of remained silent because we kind of gave up and we're just kind of like going and doing our thing. And agorism is more popular than anarchy now.
Well, the loudest. Go ahead, Reed. No, what were you going to say? I was just going to say the loudest ones get the most attention, and they're the dumbest ones.
Mm-hmm.
They're the chuds. They're the ghouls. They don't do any research. They don't fact check anything. They're purely emotional, reactionary, and they're just clickbait. Basically, they're clickbait idiots, and it's just more. They don't even realize that they're being manipulated and pawns in a game. And you're absolutely right, David. The reasonable people and the people who want to see things change for the better. I've found myself, I've retreated several times. Before Tulsi's campaign, man, I had pretty much just given up. I was like, I put my hands up. What's the fucking point of doing this anymore? You either get ignored, you get laughed at, you get called crazy. People they just want to watch the football game and eat fried chicken and drink Budweiser. They don't.
Mm-hmm.
How do you reach those people? But some people will come around though, and you gotta find your style and your way of doing it and putting it out there. And for me, it was just always comedy and impressions, and not screaming in people's faces. Showing them, pointing them in a direction, and hoping that they'll take a look at what you're pointing at.
Yeah. I think that, Dave, you're the only one who Tulsi didn't like pull back from the brink. Like I was done after Gary Johnson, kind of like Eric was, pretty much. Like I guess we both had the same campaign for the last time that we like really cared about something, and I was like totally zoned out in 2020. I wasn't even going to vote for president, and then Tulsi kind of brought me back into this mess. So it's kind of funny. Like it's the same story. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was actually charging into it at the time.
Right.
I moved to New Hampshire a week after my election. So I ran, and then I was running with Tulsi. Like I was just full steam politics. Kind of have been for almost 2 straight years now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. 2 years. 2 years and a month ago, I decided to run for office for the first time.
I wonder what I would be like right now if I hadn't met Tulsi and joined the campaign. Like, I can't imagine I still wouldn't be involved with all the shit that's gone on. Like, I would have done.
I wouldn't know Dave Smith. You still know Dave Smith, but I wouldn't, because we wouldn't be friends.
Yeah, I know. Like, it's interesting thinking about like how different everything would be. Like, just happened to see that billboard on Interstate 95 in New Hampshire, and
You heard a voice in the distance from these waves from Hawaii say, "Aloha, Reed."
Aloha, trucker. And I was like, "Oh, that's
aloha, trucker. Aloha, trucker." Yeah, man.
What a marvelous billboard that was, though, too.
Oh, I still get asked about him. She had the billboard.
There was a reason she had the billboard. It's not Grandma Oatmeal, right?
Not Grandma Oatmeal and King John Delaney. I remember maybe I told you the story, Reed. I don't know if I did. How I was at an event for campaigns, and I was representing Tulsi's campaign, and every surrogate was allowed to speak for like 5 minutes in front of everyone and just give the pitch and why we're supporting our candidate. And then like at the end of mine, just to kind of be a little lighthearted and kind of be funny and cheeky. And I said, of course, I know you've all seen the billboards. We got them up all over the state. And naturally, you're going to, put the second best looking candidate on a 50-foot billboard because we know the first best looking, good looking candidate is John Delaney. And I pointed over to Delaney's people. And got some laughs, and then afterwards some Grandma Oatmeal staffers accosted me and said that is like one of the most sexist things I've ever heard. It's like fuck you.
Oh my god.
Get fucking bent. Oh
my god.
Fuck you. And the Delaney guy who was there actually laughed. He thought it was pretty funny. He thought it was funny. But
Delaney's people were based.
They were nice. They were nice.
Nice.
They were
Yanks
nice.
people. The ones in New Hampshire specifically. I've met some of their people from like Indiana and Illinois, also, who were pretty dope. I've met some Yang people that online that were kind of iffy, but every Yang person I've met in person was dope, and especially in New Hampshire. Were you at the dinner at SNU, right? Like a couple of days before the election, there was like a big candidate dinner.
I didn't make it to that.
Oh, you didn't? Okay.
No.
So I wasn't inside, but I was outside. They had like the whole area out front of the SNHU arena was just supporters and signs and stuff. And it was kind of like a whole big block party in the freezing cold. It was actually really dope. And we just got to meet 75 volunteers from different candidates and like talked like just for the whole night, and it was really fun. And yeah, the Delaney people were awesome. The Yang people were awesome. We were even getting along pretty well with the Bernie Bros. We all ganged up on the Buttigieg people, and it was beautiful. Literally, it was like a 4-to-1 ratio between like the progressives and the establishment hacks in volunteers, because Bernie had a huge crowd of people. And Yang was pretty good. And we had a pretty good sized group of people out front. We had probably like 20, 25 people maintained throughout the night. And we were like bouncing back and forth between the office because it was close to like warm up and stuff.
Yeah.
And there was like a fucking like 7-foot tall like box of corn pops that said like Biden's corn pops that people were like moving around, and like everybody was taking pictures with. It was like a dude dressed up as a polar bear, just like running around taking pictures with people. It was just a party. Like lots of people were like sneaking around the corner to get high. Like you just knew it. And like, I was doing it, but too, like, it was just a party. It was a great time. And it was really one of the moments that clicked in my head, something that definitely led me down the path that brought me to where we are now with the liberty unity kind of stuff of, they're just people, like, regardless of even who they support. I even met plenty of Buttigieg people in New Hampshire that I liked. I met plenty of Klobuchar people that I liked. Williamson's people were some of the best. Like, I don't really give a fuck who you support or what you support. Like, if you're going to be a good person with me, you want to smoke a blunt, let's smoke a blunt. Like, I don't fucking care. And that was helpful. That was really helpful in like growing me to the person I am now, where like I don't care. I really just don't care anymore. Like, you want to help us burn down the state? Like, let's go.
Well, yeah, it's all well-intentioned people, know, whatever people's motivations are, they are out there doing it, putting their money where their mouth is. And you do have to respect that, even if you don't agree with their candidate's platform or their candidate. But New Hampshire, man, we are it for that. And this one with Tulsi was my 6th New Hampshire primary. So who knows what's going to happen with the next one, but definitely my favorite. I thoroughly enjoyed myself. Well, Zombie Joe is going to run again. He's already said that if he makes it, Right. I've already said, David, this is about the soul of America. This is about Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Do you think
Scranton?
Do you think Kamala would primary him?
No, she's staying in her lane for 2028, and
That's
Do you think it's going to be a rematch?
depressing.
it could be the greatest rematch in the history of the world if God King decides to run again against Zombie Joe.
Who's the Republican VP though?
DeSantis from Florida.
Yep. All right. Good pick.
That would be everything, Reed, if we had that ticket. The amount of ghoul with Trump and DeSantis would just. I would almost send them like 6 months of my pay, just donate to the campaign, just cause, out of principle.
They're so awesome, just because of the entertainment and the unbelievability of the circumstances.
The level of ghoul, Reed, that would produce would. Although I got to tip my hat to DeSantis about being pretty based about the virus down in Florida.
Yeah.
With the chin diapers and he's done a good job with it. Sununu's done a good job with it.
Shut down the narrative. Did you guys see that 60 Minutes thing that they did about him and the Costco shit?
Fake news.
Fake news.
Fake news.
Did you see that?
He is so much like Trump. Did you see his hand motions in that interview?
He was doing a DeSantis bitch slap.
He just doesn't do the mouth thing. He doesn't have like the retarded face. He just has the hand thing. Like
a chimpanzee with Downs.
Yeah.
How much do you love him though, Reed? I fucking love him, dude.
I fucking miss him. I miss him.
I miss him every day.
I miss him on Twitter. Like I kind of wish that I got Twitter like semi-Twitter popular before he got nuked, because I would like to have participated in the conversation a little bit better.
I know.
Well, there's something coordinated going on, because we asked. Well, you saw the video. We asked Pete and Ryan. So you guys got your Twitter back at the same time? And Pete said, yeah, a couple of my friends did too. So something coordinated is happening. So we're not sure. Maybe somebody like sneaked in and
we are finally releasing the Kraken, and you wouldn't believe it.
It's a wall, because we need wall.
Look, Reed, we need wall. A wheel's a wheel and a wall's a wall. And we need wall. He strokes out a little bit. We need wall. We need wall. He's everything. He's the sun, dude. He's the moon, the mountains, the stars, and the ocean. He's life.
It was so funny.
Fun of that. That is like insensitive to the great Ron Paul.
Dude, it was so funny. After the stream ended, we were talking with Ryan, and Ryan was talking about how Trump was talking about some deal with the Chinese or something, and he was like, they came in and they were like, we want deal. And we were like, yeah, Ryan, he wasn't actually being racist, though. He was just being retarded. It's just Trump. Like, you can't tell the crossover between racist or retarded. It's like somewhere in between. Because he'll be like, I don't know, Jill Stein. I know she likes environment. Like he just forgets the word "the" so many times. So you can't tell if he's like
making long time
or if he's just dumb. Like
we need wall. we need wall. It's incredible, dude. Yeah. What is it? We know make deal, no deal.
Yeah.
We
want deal or whatever.
These guys, they coming from Toshiba, they coming from Honda, wherever they're coming from. They say we want deal. We want deal.
Oh my god! You're so right about the stroking out. We want what? Like the muscle starts sagging. We need what?
We do. Dude, when he returned from Walter Reed after they put him on all the steroids and the hydroxychloroquine and whatever else the fuck they put him on, dude, he was so strong, dude. He was like Thanos, dude, after he got all the diamonds. He was so powerful. We're going to build. He gives us life, Reed.
Oh man, his tweets were amazing. Like one tweet he made after he survived, like, I'm just trying to keep the world from burning itself or something. I was just like, that was amazing.
Got some base comments appreciating you, Eric, which is great because we all everyone in the world should appreciate Eric Jackman.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's a dark world. It's a fucked up place, but we got to laugh, man. That's why I wear my purple coat in solidarity with the Joker.
That's right. Eric, before we end everything, you got to give us like a long drawn out Alex Jones foresight for the future. Well, what's coming down the pipe?
Look, folks, I know things look a little dark right now. We got Zombie Joe in there. He's smelling everything that comes past him. He is just in there with that goblin Kamala Harris who locked up all the black people for weed. And then she said she was against segregation, but she joined up with the segregationists. She couldn't get in bed with them quick enough because she's on her knees with Willie Brown. She's a cock goblin, folks, Infowars.com. But things are going to get better. I promise they're going to get better. You got to go to Infowars.com right now and you get 20% discount. Type in Reed Coverdale muzzle loader and get 20% off right now, folks. At InfoWars exclusively right now. But we are doing incredible things. We're fighting the deep state every day. I was talking about the DARPA chips and salsa, folks. It's a sludge. It's a New World Order sludge. They teamed up with the Trilateral Commission, the Absent Institute, the Bohemian Grove, and the Bilderbergers, and NATO. They all got together and they made this sludge, folks. And Hillary Clinton, she's over at Planned Parenthood drinking baby smoothies. They got the baby smoothies at Planned Parenthood right now. And it's so disgusting. They're teaming up with China, and it's so disgusting, and it makes me sick. And Kamala Harris is queefing out sulfur. Infowars.com.
Oh my God. Beautiful. So beautiful. Eric, tell everybody where they can find you, how they can help you out and support what you're doing. Your Patreon link is in the description for anybody who's watching on YouTube.
Yeah, I appreciate it. We patreon.com/Jackman Radio. We just ask people for $5 a month if they like what we do. That's because we're getting some pretty big name guests, but I want to be in a position where I can fly people to New Hampshire that I'm interested in having on in studio. So $5 a month, if you sign up, that can help us do that. Put a guest up in a hotel, fly him out, and then do a really, really good quality interview with him. So that would be helpful on Patreon. And then I'm on Twitter at Jackman Radio, Instagram at Jackman Radio, and Senator Jackman's my personal page on there. I'm on there every day. I'm addicted to Instagram, just like Joe Rogan's addicted to DMT, folks. And Spotify, Podbean, Apple, and iTunes carries our podcast, and our YouTube channel's Jackman Radio. So be great. Give me a follow on all those. Say hi to me on them, and we're just going to keep doing the damn thing.
All right. Well, guys, go give Eric a follow, support if you can. He's a great guy. And Eric, are you going to be at PorkFest?
Well, Reed's saying he's coming now. It was a new development that you're going to. Are you going to, David?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's in June?
Yes, yeah. June 21st through the 27th.
Okay, yeah. I mean, we definitely got to meet up. I don't know if I'm going to go up, but I would love to obviously see you guys and have you come on in studio, and hopefully you can get Dave to come in studio and maybe Scott Horton.
That'd be dope.
I just want to get all the fucking based edgelords together. We'll do a big feast. We'll go out, have a big summit, and then we could do like a podcast. But you guys are coming to the state, man. We're definitely going to get together. Even if I don't go up to PorkFest, we got to meet up.
All right. Well, I hope you come up for at least a day so everybody watching gets to meet you.
Yeah, it would be fun. Maybe I could go up and do some Trump or something, or some Alex Jones.
Ooh, there you go.
Right on, guys. Yeah, thanks for having me on. This was fun.
Yeah, this was a great time. We'll definitely have to have you back, and I have to have you on my show because that hasn't happened yet, which is a problem.
Yeah, absolutely, I'd be happy to come on Infowars.com.
Reed, what you got going on in the next couple of days?
Let's see. Tomorrow I got Brian Nichols coming on my show. Thursday I have Neocon Remover coming on, and then Sunday I'll be going on Break the Cycle with Josh Smith, and then I'll be having him on my show Monday night, so I actually won't be able to make it here next Monday. And then I'm going on Liberty Lockdown on Tuesday, and then on Thursday Tom Woods is coming on my show, so that'll be a big one. Tom Woods, that's going to be cool. So
this is a based fucking lineup.
It's a good lineup.
That is a solid fucking lineup. Yeah, I'm almost embarrassed to say because I don't have nearly that many things, but I'm excited about some of them, or all of them actually.
You got Dave Smith coming up, right?
I do. So tomorrow night, 6 p.m., I've got Eric Brakey.
Yep.
Wednesday, I'm doing a volunteer appreciation night with Unity Griff and Gus. Gus is still here. I don't know if that's still his @. I don't remember. I don't pay attention to people when they change their ads that often. So that's going to be fun. And then Saturday, I have Mark Pellegrino from Supernatural. And then next Tuesday is Dave Smith. So, yeah, also a fun lineup. But,
Yeah, for sure.
Those will be good. Those will be great shows.
I'm excited to watch your episode with Tom Woods, though. It's going to be based.
That's big. So.
Well, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't done so already, click the subscribe button. If you're watching on other things, go click the link tree that's in the description or in the comments, and then go subscribe and follow us on everything because it's great. If you want to help support the channel, you can send us a little bit of cash on Cash App, or you can help support the Liberty Movement as a whole and go over to and get have a little bit of fun time at the same time. Go over to nugofknowledge.com and check out what we've got over there. There's some great CBD, CBG products and some Delta 8 THC. Every ounce of dollars from that stays within the Liberty Movement. Those are great guys that are over there working on that stuff. So use promo code UNITE to get 10% off and go check out what we've got going on over there. But thank you so much for watching. Eric, thanks for coming back.
Great to see you guys.
All right. Have a good night, guys.